Facebook, family, and friends. What's going on this morning, you guys? Sammy, good morning. You guys all know what this is. This is Formers Anonymous. Sammy just walked away. I don't know where he's going, but
I got heathens here. I got to close that door.
You got heathens? Well, come on now. We all know how my children are.
You're talking about your kid? I wasn't talking about people. Got a house full of birds right now.
Oh man, I wish. Birds are so much nicer than children.
Well, they're a lot like people. They just shit anywhere they want, you know.
They're a lot like my kid.
Just dropping a deuce. Here, Dad.
Nothing was crazier than sitting in the bathroom using the potty and hearing Danica saying, "What in the actual fuck are you doing?" And then me hopping out and running into the room, and Tater is just streaming a pee. Streaming a pee. Awesome. So
I want to be free.
So today we're going to talk about rather than reacting externally, processing internally, and what we mean by that, and what point we're trying to make. Welcome everybody, Formers Anonymous, where we work at changing lives by changing minds. Dig that. Don't forget, you guys, reach out, take a look at the TLT, the Life Technician. You can find us at thelifetechnician.com. Go ahead and get in there and see what we're doing. So Sammy is everybody, you know Sammy Rangel. He's our founder and good friend and big-headed pal. So bang bang. So Sammy, what are we talking about when we talk about processing something internally rather than reacting to it externally?
I mean, honestly, we're talking about inner peace, right? Like, what is the source of inner peace? It's hard to watch people I care about, people who I support, people who I'm connected to in one way or another, go through something. But what makes it somewhat difficult to process is when they're looking for inner peace online. Look, when we complain, we're trying to establish some sort of balance in the universe. That's the ultimate goal. The reason we voice something is because we think it's going to change something. Whether that's people's perceptions of us, whether it's, the way things are going, turning out, are headed, have gone, like whatever it may be, when we use our words, we're looking for something, right? You are searching. But there's a difference between looking in your refrigerator and looking in a garbage can for food. There's a difference. But I think today, with like the way we live and what we traditionally have looked for support, we don't realize that we're shifting through a garbage can, looking for nutrition, looking for sustenance, looking for something to calm us, to support us. And I get it, man. Who doesn't need someone to just take our side blindly because of who we are, right? I mean, we all need that. Like, that's a human need. Like, look, if I'm going through a breakup and you're my best friend, there's a part of me that just wants you to just, whether I'm right or wrong, just be there for me. I get that. Hopefully, especially if you're in recovery, you also have tolerance to hear about the good and the bad that's within your ability, within your power, or that you might have contributed to. But I think ultimately we want support. So are we looking in garbage cans for that support, for that nutrition, or are we looking in the refrigerator where food belongs, right? Do you eat junk food? Do you eat healthy? All those analogies fit this idea. And what we're talking about, man, is we're so concerned about what's happening on the outside, And I mean, when you think about the posts that are out there, when you think about what social media is or what conversations look like, typically the vast majority of conversations people want to have with me are about what's going on in the world. But you already know me. I'm typically trying to have a conversation about what's going on inside of you, what's happening inside of you, you know, because I already recognize I cannot control the world, man. And I've accepted that. I've accepted that. And that's why one thing I think you can attest to this. You will watch me go through some shit with some people and not say shit. Because I'm so focused on managing my insides because I can't control them. And you know, if people, you know, we've all been victims of rumors and, you know, lies, things like that. And a lot of people put a lot of energy into what people would think. You know, I've heard people say, I'm not going to let someone say that about me and let everyone else think that. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, man. And I think you've, again, seen this in my life and maybe hopefully in yours. I've let people talk shit and have not made an issue of, not made it a point to go out there and, you know, um, hold a debate club.
Salinas, I love you so much, baby. I didn't have a mean face on, sweetheart. If I did, I apologize, baby girl. Morning, Amy. Morning, Aunt Chris.
Good morning. Yes, everybody.
Your dad's on here starting crap with me early in the morning prior to the broadcast. So just so you know, if I'm mean to him, it's because he's been mean to me for so long.
What did we just say? What did we just say? Control it on the inside. What the hell is RBF? I got a bite. I got a bite. What is RBF?
Resting bitch face. Oh my God, Amy, I love you. I'm done. I am done.
We love you, baby. Love you, Celine, man, babe. Hey, Monte, she's got to drop $1,000 into her. Okay, Fucci, I see you. Thank you for clearing that up. Me too. Here's my resting bitch face. If I'm having a hard time, it's like this. I smell something nasty and it's hard to swallow.
I'm so done with this. I'm going home.
Love our family on here, man.
Right.
So listen. One of the things, since we're on social media, I feel like this is relevant, right?
Yeah.
It's relevant because how many of us turn to social media literally for like the wrong reasons, man?
Yeah.
Like, you know, look, if you're going through something so bad that you start to air it out on a platform where literally no one gives a fuck what they're watching and seeing and listening to, and what you're going to get are those blind reactions from people who don't even know enough to support you, much less challenge you. You're fishing out of the garbage can, right? And what we want to see people doing is turning to real people. If you have enough friends to comment on a post that is vague enough to make us worry, but not enough to tell us what's going on, call somebody. Yeah. Instead of taking it to Facebook where it just makes you look like a hot mess, call somebody, man. You know, you can put something so vague up there, you know, like, you know, oh wow, you know, I guess this is it. And then no context. Whoever is responding to that is hoping that their bullshit comment with not enough information. I almost think it's just it's hollow. It's empty. We don't need 100 post comments to make a situation better. What we want is a real conversation that's going to make me better.
Right.
A real conversation. And nothing can replace human connection. Right. And Facebook and Instagram is not the healthiest form of human connection when we're going through something traumatic or
no doubt.
You know, I get that it can keep people connected, but that connection is supposed to lead to like a human connection, not just a electronic pixel connection.
And I can't think of any benefit if you're in recovery of doing that, right? Like it's just going to drive you farther, especially nowadays where people enjoy trolling other people and pushing for a reaction. And when you're in recovery, especially when you're early on in recovery, like that could be just absolutely devastating to your recovery in itself. I mean,
that's a really interesting concept around the devastation, right? If it's devastating, take it to a person,
bam.
right? If not to your platform, take it to a person, not a platform, right? If it's devastating, right? If it's traumatic, if it's heartbreaking, if it's heart wrenching, hell, if it's the best news ever, take it to a person, right? And I'm a firm believer that there are several things you just don't put into the atmosphere. It's your personal business, your personal life, your personal finances, and your personal beliefs. Only because those things are really your source, right? Those are your secret sauce in life that help you manage and navigate. You don't want to expose your playbook to the world because, as you mentioned, there are these trolls, who will exploit that, right? And here's the other thing. I am guilty. I have matured in my life, and from 10, 15 years ago, obviously.
Hopefully.
But I remember I was going through something, and I put this post up, and while it was a meaningful post, it was directed at one person. And today I realize at the expense of all the people who support me. I just can't bring myself to doing that no more. When I realized what I had done there, here's what it is. It takes a serious situation, and now I have a petty reaction to what is otherwise a serious situation. The idea is not to be petty, right? Because pettiness, it's those resentments, right? Pettiness comes from those resentments. It comes from frustration. It comes from hopelessness. Yeah, I hear you, Amy. I don't know that it's the same thing that I'm talking about. Normally, what we're talking about are reactions that people take to Facebook looking for a reaction. People are looking for a reaction, not necessarily spreading a message, right? Here's the problem. Everyone has a microphone thanks to social media.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean everyone should have a microphone.
Yeah.
That also translate everyone has light that they otherwise wouldn't have to spread a message. And so I think we need to be mindful of how we're spreading those messages, right? If we're trying to actually teach someone, that's the different spirit of what we're talking about. It's when you're being petty, and you're being vague, and you're being needy, and you need a fucking hug, and you're not going to get that from Facebook, right? That's not I have watched so many people with a microphone on these platforms, and I'm like, they have done nothing to put in the work to be trying to preach to anyone. Like, that's the problem. Now I don't know shit about false prophets, but when you give just anyone, people really don't know. People just don't know. Well, Amy, if you came to see me, you could get a hug from me too. I've been hugging you longer than Monte. FYI, I just want to remind you of that. It's probably because of me that Monte.
My hugs are better, just so you know.
Why? Why are they better, Monte? Go ahead, tell me.
Because my head isn't as big as yours, so they can actually reach in and hug me.
Nobody in the world believes that, Monte. That's not a hat. That's an actual bear. Scale. Scale. That's a scale. Just to put it into perspective, how big your freaking dome is. That's an actual size, lifelike bear. Life-size bear right there.
It's not a real bear, you guys. It's really a hat.
You better be careful.
Yeah. No, I dig it, man. I remember when I came home, and so there's a couple of new people on here. Hey, you guys. One of them is my new friend I just met this morning. Excited to meet her family and her husband soon. So when I came home 10 years ago, and those of you who don't know, I did 18 years for armed robbery, went in when I was 19, came home at 37, started my life over. I've had an amazing 10 years. Um, it's been hard. Uh, and some of the hardest things that I went through were like when Danica was young and then losing my son. I've always tried to keep what I post secondary to me reaching out. I reached out to my core, Amy, Sammy, a handful of other people. That's my core support circle, right? Like I reach to them, I talk to them, I cry, I laugh, I do whatever it is I need to do before I make any kind of statement about it. Because I don't want to make a rash statement. Like when I went through the hardest part of my relationship with my daughter's mother, I never posted anything more than, hey, you know, could you please not pass information on? Like, I want to keep things separate until this custody thing is done. I try not to disparage anybody. I try not to make vagueness a part of my existence, right? Like, I try to be direct. And it's been helpful. I mean, it's been an amazing thing. And Sammy, that was one of the things you had taught me early on, like priorities, realities. What you're going to put out into the world is energy. It's the same thing that my uncles taught in that sweat lodge, right? In our ceremonies, right? Like what you put out into the world is what comes back around, and maybe it affects someone other than you. Like maybe you're not even the one who's going to be the direct, recipient of what you put out there. And so I've tried to be really careful and mindful of what I say, how I say it, especially on a public forum. Jim, you know what, Jim? Why are you here? Why does Monty's voice sound like the anonymous dude in a crime drama today? I don't know what's wrong with my voice, Jim, but if you're coming here later on
This is the classic case. Classic case of you responding to your environment. Classic case, right?
For those of you who come to our recovery and think that the show is different than the program, I'm going to let you know now, right? Like our in-person meetings are just like our online meetings, you guys.
We're all a bunch of ex-idiots and assholes, and that recovery doesn't change that, right? It doesn't change that.
There's a reason why I've been FA strong for a decade now, and that's because throughout all the seriousness, throughout all the struggle of recovery, we look for the joy, we look for the happiness, we look for what's going to make our life better as we recover, right? The seriousness is there. We need to be serious. We need to focus on our ability to continue forward in our lives the way we're doing it now. But if we can't do that while we're smiling and laughing, if we can't have joy within that recovery, it is not sustainable, you guys. So I don't care what you're doing. Find your joy, find your happiness, make that a part. And leaving vague, crappy, bite my classic ass statements on Facebook for your supposed bro, that's not joyful.
That's not too vague. That's a pretty specific request.
Screw you, Jim Pease. I'm done with you.
Now bring it back in.
Hey, my sister's on here. Prima, I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you later today. Kevin, little Cubby, I love you, bro. I don't know if I talked to you about Kevin. Kevin and I met when he was a young kid, incarcerated. Green Bay Max, he was underage, came through. We have been friends now for 20 plus years. He's an amazing kid. He's also a part of the circle up at Oneida with the elders. He's a great guy, man. He's a good friend. I love him.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Kevin.
Welcome home.
10 years FA here too. Just saying, LOL. Screw you, Jim.
So look, and let's clarify who our audience today is. I mean, hopefully these messages can help anyone, but the audience that we're preaching to, man, so to speak, are other formers, right? And why it's important for us to regulate so carefully and so consistently, right? We're not talking about an addiction where we abuse substances, as the root source of our problem. We're talking about a set of people, of individuals who cause great harm when their heads aren't screwed on right. And we're not talking about incidental harm. We're talking about actual harm. I'm hearing an echo. You hearing that echo?
Yeah, I am.
All right, let me close this in case. Is that better?
Yeah, it is.
It's still, I still hear the echo. I only have one mic up, so I don't know, maybe it's you. But so when a former sits on the throne of pity, sits on the throne of woe is me, is attention seeking for the wrong reasons, it's a slippery slope because it means that we know that we're in a process of recovery, but we're starting to inch away from it, evidenced by how we're reacting to the world around us. And like football, recovery is a game of inches, man. A lot of people, and you remember these discussions from the early days, maybe we should have it again soon. A lot of people pinpoint relapse at the point where they violate or use a substance. And that's what they thought. Oh, I had a drink. Oh, I used again. Oh, I hit somebody. And they normally identify that moment. In that moment, they are, how should I put it? They've identified that moment as the point of relapse. And here's what I would tell you. That is the end result of a relapse, not the starting point. Because there are 1,000,001 moments that led up to that were lost by inches, by millimeters, man. Just, one off. We started to feel a certain way. We started to think a certain way. We started to react a certain way. We were looking for certain things. And little by little, it takes us away from the principles of 12-step programming, right? It takes us away from the wisdoms. It takes us away from the tenets. It takes us away from step 1, step 2, step 3, all the way down, right? As we start to get away from recovery, we start to have those reactions in the world. If you go through the 12 steps, it doesn't say anything about correcting the world, ever, challenging the world, ever. It doesn't say go to social media for your support. And I guess I have to be careful because if social media is if you're in step 1 and social media has that kind of value for you, I get it. But as you get advanced and you've been with us over the years, your spiritual principles have to be those meaningful relationships that keep you grounded. And I'm sorry, I do not have a meaningful relationship with a platform. And if I reach out to people, I can talk to those people even if they're on my platform.
Yep.
Right? I mean, I'll be honest, I probably know a third of the people who are on my Facebook. And of those thirds, I can call anyone at any time with any issue and get what I need, get it in a real way, right? Not to mention the elders in my life who aren't on any platforms in the world, but who hold more wisdom and kind of guide my North Star for me when I can't guide it myself. When I've lost sight of that North Star, man, who am I turning to? That's important. This is why it's such an important issue in recovery, man. Like, we cannot afford to let those millimeters and inches and keep increasing and growing. And I get it. We go through these moments, but how quickly do you recover? Right. There's 3 stages of change: after the fact, during the fact, and before the fact. And, because we're human, there's going to be times when we react and then we only realize it after the fact. Because we're human, there's going to be times when we react while things are unfolding. And because we're human, we also have the potential to stay disciplined and catch ourselves before we fall off these ends. At what point do we need to be in charge of our high executive functions in the world, right? At what point do we need to be living by these wisdoms? At what point do we need to be living by the spiritual principles? At what point do we need to be, taking care of ourselves, man? And remember, the point of this discussion is not to name and blame or shame anyone. The point of this is inner peace. What's
Absolutely.
the point of the 12 steps, Monte?
Inner peace.
It's inner peace, right?
All day long.
And so you're not going to find inner peace by looking for sympathy, by looking what you want to get is a well-rounded hug, right?
Yeah.
You don't want just a hug, you want a well-rounded hug. And that hug, when it comes from the right source of love, the right source of compassion and empathy, the right source of spirituality, when it comes from the right source, it's everything you need. Not everything you want, everything you need. And it might have parts of what you want, right? It might have parts of what you want, but it should also have parts of what you need. You know, Celine jumped on here, man. There's not a day that I don't hug that girl and then follow it up with what she needs to hear.
Yep.
And she hates me for it in the moment, but will come back later and be like, "Thank you. You know, I appreciate it." You know,
He's a good kid. Yeah.
let's look at these principles right here, these gifts, right? We're moving away from hopelessness, doubt, fear, self-contempt, helplessness, feeling disconnected, festering wounds, loneliness, purposeless existence, which basically means like I have no purpose, right?
Yeah. I have no walk in life.
Understanding the past and the future, not being driven by it, right? Seeking redemption. Filter your post through this, just this alone. Just filter what I'm about to do with this hurt or anger or resentment and ask yourself, does it serve you? Because it doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve you.
And so those of you guys who don't know, if you want the literature, you can go on to Formers Anonymous public page, and there'll be a PDF file right at the top. As soon as you scroll down, start scrolling down, it'll say 12 steps and pillars, final version. You can download it there for free, or you can PM me and I'll send you a final version in your private messages. It contains the entirety of the book, the add-ins, and all of the steps to find, including our tenets, our wisdoms, our pillars, all of the things, the tools that we need to walk forward in our recovery in a way that we can handle mentally, emotionally, psychologically.
Go to the end of step 11, Monte. There's something there. We really have never highlighted, but I really like it. Keep going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Keep going. I can hardly see it. It's like maybe we passed it. Let me pull it up here. So this idea of taking care of what's happening on the inside instead of going to the outside to do that. In order to take care of the inside, you've got to go to the inside, right? You've got to be on the inside. And you have to be, can you soothe yourself?
You want to know my favorite paragraph in 11? It's
Sure.
at the end.
Go ahead.
Some have started this process out of shame, guilt, or desperation, only to find out later that what matters is not what brought us to these tables, but rather what we bring to the table. That was, through the first 10 steps, everything, it laid it out. That's when I understood that I was bringing something with me just as much as I was receiving something by attending FA, right? That's where I really learned my value. When you had asked me to chair and asked me to become a part of this, like my true point of understanding that I had value to the group, to the world, and to myself was step 11. That's where I figured it out. That's where I know you said when you had seen that shift in my behavior and shift in my attitude, that was it, right? When I understood that I had brought value with me, right? That was a really important part for me.
All right, go to page 65.
65.
Yeah, it's in step 11. Oh,
no,
you're on a different page. Wait, go back. Are you on 11?
Yeah.
All right, let me make sure.
No, this is epilogue to step 11.
Yeah.
So let me keep going.
65. Right there in the middle. Read that out.
Heart-to-heart conversations are the best to me. Everyone's vulnerable. Vulnerability attacks honesty. Honesty attracts soul connections.
Isn't that what we're talking about right now?
Most no doubt.
You see how this is a recovery issue. And then look at this. The preceding and proceeding paragraphs just summarize this whole discussion. This is why I'm not pulling this out of my ass, right? Like this is the nourishment we receive from being selfless, thoughtful, concerned, focused can springboard our recovery. The habit of introspection, reflection, clearing our minds and hearts for a moment each day, right? Like when we're doing that, you know what we are not doing? We're not asking for pity or sympathy, anonymously or vaguely, right? And remember, when you use social media, you could be hiding from accountability, because a real person is going to be able to share with you, again, those things that you need to hear. You know, I was talking with somebody who, there was somebody I had to separate from professionally, and in this weird 5 year later roundabout way, a person who I just recently met knows that person, and when it was disclosed that that person knew me, they were talking about what happened 5 years ago. And the person who just met me asked that person, those grievances you have, could those all be in your own head? Like, that's what you don't get when you're hide behind a pixel to deal with life on life's terms, right? You can't hide behind a pixel and then expect to have an intimate response or relationship. It's only when you sit down and you hear from someone, right? And you feel from someone what needs to happen. And that can happen on a Zoom call or in person, a phone call. Hell, write a letter or an email. I don't care. Reach out to a real person and say, I need to actually talk. I need to run something by you. I'm trying to filter through something. Maybe I got fired unjustly, or maybe I just got cheated on, or maybe I'm going through a breakup, or maybe I'm sad and depressed. Whatever it is, man, you've got to add the heart to heart conversation. Like that's what I'm really trying to encourage. And I'm just using what I see are hollow, attempts at expression. Woe is me, and I hear you, man. I want that too sometimes, especially when I'm at my lowest. I want that too, but I can't afford it. Let's talk about that for a minute, right? I cannot afford it. I can't afford to have a hollow conversation. I can't afford it. It's not in me. I just, the price I have to pay for being superficial is too high.
Yeah.
Right? It's false image, false pride, which leads to criminal pride, criminal activity. And I'm not, I don't think I can fall back into crime overnight. I think it's going to take me, a few days.
Right.
I'm going to really have to undo some stuff to get there,
I agree. And but I think on the other token, right, you're right. Not being able to afford to fail for us is slightly different than other addicts, right? Like for you and me, a failure means people get hurt. Like,
I mean, let's just be real. It's homicide. I mean, because that's just the terms we thinking, right? Like it's
life or death. It's black or white.
I'm not trying to fist fight anybody. I've never have. I gave up fist fighting like when I was 22. Like, it's where we have this extreme temperament, and also an extreme palate for that kind of violence, right? It's the ultimate violence. We can't afford it. We can't afford it.
I totally agree. And that's one of the things I think about when I start feeling defeatist, right? When I start allowing the defeatist thoughts to enter my head, I have to remember, and I remind myself, or I reach out to you or Amy, and just talk. And that's because if I don't, I know my humanity is at stake, right? The person I've become, the person I'm becoming, the person I'm growing into. Like I have never in my life loved myself, right? I've never liked myself prior to learning about who I was, right? Like, yeah, I never had this feeling of goodness or love, that I feel now, right? Like being the dad, being a good neighbor, being a good, community member. Those things actually make me feel good about me, and that's something I can't risk, to go back. So for me, yeah, failure is not an option. Failure is a violent path of destruction to everything in my wake, right, and everything around me. So I want to talk real quick about these tenets, right? These tenets are something that I actually tell people on a regular basis, right? They'll, oh, let's do that. Practice radical forgiveness, huh? Practice radical forgiveness of yourself and others, right? Like, think about it in that manner. It's something we never really understood, so we have to do it, right? Like, let's practice radical forgiveness. Walk away. Somebody reached out to me, a mutual former friend of both of ours, with a heartfelt apology about the whole situation that happened recently. You know what I'm talking about. And I told him, and his wife, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be friends, but I don't want any harm to happen to you, right? Like, be at peace, do your thing, man. Like, that's not something I wanted to do. That's not something I felt like I should do at first. And after I realized I was waging peace, right? Like I was putting peace out to him so that he didn't have to worry, or his wife. Um, and that made me feel much better about the situation of myself. These tenants that are up here for you guys, for all of us, if you use them, they work. Like, I felt so much better afterwards. It's still a shitty situation. It was still a painful situation. It still hurt me emotionally and psychologically how things ended. But saying, hey, it's okay, man. It is what it is. I wish you no harm. I hope for the best. And meaning that, right? That left me feeling much more peaceful about the situation and about the conclusion of our relationship, right? There will be no more friendship there. That's okay though, right? That's okay.
Or you could say the friendship has changed because
there's new boundaries.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly, bro.
There are new boundaries,
right? Because there's so many tenets here that reference, like how we transform our enemies and our adversaries into assets and into friends.
I don't think
right?
I could ever consider him an enemy. Like, I loved him. He was, my
but their proximity, the proximity of that friendship has to change, right? And some people you can have really close, and some you got to have a million miles away, and you can still care about them, right? I really love that you said that. The boundaries have changed, and boundaries need to flex as your real life unfolds, right? See, that's maintaining your inner peace.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's maintaining your inner peace. And that's that example actually embodies the topic, because there's a reaction you could have to the world around you based on what has happened. And you're saying, for my inner peace, I can't make you an enemy. I can't hold resentment, but I also can't have you in my life the way you used to be. As a result, be at peace and go on your way, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to be going a different way than you. And that's loving, Monte. That's a loving, compassionate, kind, empathic gesture, because there's so much in there. Like you're representing that. You're representing your spiritual principles of empathy and understanding and no judgment, but you're also embracing the spiritual concept of healthy boundaries.
Could you imagine the same situation and conversation 25 years ago?
Yeah, it would have been a head to toe. It would have been a full Nelson head to toe.
Right. Just
no cover up. No cover up, man. And it might have been worse than that. I mean, because some of the violations, in my opinion, are pretty bad, right? But and it would have probably been an X. Who knows?
No, you know what?
But I want to.
And this is why I love. This is why I love what I learned in FA. This is why FA reached me so much deeper and on a deeper level than the other programs that I had been involved with. And I'm not just talking about 12-step programs, all the programming I had been involved with over the years, right? Like it didn't address those inner violent feelings that I had, right? Like those that need to reach out and make other people feel what I felt on the outside, right? Like
Yeah.
let me express to you my insides, right, through your outsides. And now, like through all this, I think that's the biggest thing is me being able to expose my weakness and my nakedness, right? My hurt. That's something that's we don't do, right? We don't expose those pains. We don't expose those sufferings, especially if it makes us look weak in front of others. And now, the other day we did that thing together online, and I wasn't going to talk about that, and it wasn't my subject, but it happened to hit my circle, right? And then Ava was my co-person, right? She was the one I talked to, and she was like, Monty, tell it. She was like, you need to. And when I got done talking about it and laughing and joking and exposing how painful, but how joyful my time was, right? Like I felt like a totally different person as I left that behind, right? As I walked through that, right? And for me, that's what recovery, that this FA, this whole movement, right? You know, I jokingly, well, I wasn't a joke, but I had mentioned in the beginning changing lives through changing minds, and that's exactly what I've had happen through these years through FA, right? That my mindset about what choices I had in my choice funnel went from 2 or 3 little choices that were reactionary and violent and angry and harmful to this whole sea of choices that I have now, right? And I know I have them now because I'm still a man after I make those choices. Whereas before, if I didn't make one of those 3 choices, I was no longer a man, right? Now I was something other. And now I recognize that no, I'm not, right? And these tenets, these wisdoms, these pillars, forgiveness, reconciliation, redemption, right? I never thought I could redeem myself. I never thought I had value to redeem. And now I know I do. Right? Now I know I do it. And so for all of you guys who are out there struggling with recovery or addiction or family members who need help with addiction and recovery.
Healing.
Yeah. Right. That's what it is, right? That's what recovery truly is. The word recovery and healing are synonymous, right? Like we are recovering, we are healing from a wound that's inside of us, right? That's what this is. That's what FA offers you, right? That's what Formers offers is a healing from your suffering. And we already know almost all addiction stems from a desire to not suffer, right? We're trying to find a way to escape the suffering and alter our reality to what we want it to be because life should be perfect and we should never be in pain and we should never hurt. Look, the fucking truth of the matter is you ain't promised shit but pain, suffering, and death. The 3 fucking things you get in life. These are your guarantees. You think I'm joking? During World War II, Nazi Germany, there were children who were born, tortured, murdered. Never feeling peace, never feeling love, never feeling comfort, never feeling kindness. This is what we're promised in life, right? Those are our guarantees, right? So if we don't learn how to suffer well and smile through it and find our joy in our recovery, we can never be successful. That's my opinion.
Well, let me add a little balance to that because we don't want to preach toxic toxic happiness, right? You don't have to smile while you're suffering, but you can still find a way to suffer better, right? And one day hopefully smile from a genuine source of happiness or peace, right?
Noka, we have a comment from our YouTube page. Noka stated, can you guys react to the song me and my friend made? It's called Fruit of the World on SoundCloud about finding your inner self. Yeah, hey, when we shut down this feed, Noka, we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at it. I'll share it with Sammy and we'll do a reaction. Jane Moore, mine is trapped in my body. I need to slow down. I'm always rushing, thinking I need to do something, always thinking I'm not good enough. Jane, you are amazing, hun. Like your goodness is deep inside you and evident. Don't ever think that true sometimes.
Yeah, and I wanna weigh in on that. Mine is trapped in my body. The one thing we can control in life is our inside. Like, well, we have some say so on what's going on in the inside. Well, I would say that what we feel is trapped. I would change the word trapped and change that to a word called kept, because it's yours to release. Right? You can't be trapped in a room with an open door. You have to choose to walk through the door. And so it's about changing the mindset and the way we talk. So if you look on one of the tenets here, is, where does it say? I was just looking at it. Author your story. And this is what we're talking about. We're basically authoring things in real time, but a lot of times mindlessly. Woe is me. That is you writing something on the wall and not realizing that you're writing on the wall. Who put woe is me up there? Because that's what you're reading, right? You're reading woe is me. Yeah. And you don't recognize the writing. But what if you were to say, this shit sucks, but there's a better day coming? Right? You can still be real about it. This shit sucks, man. Me and you have said that so many times between each other. This shit sucks. I mean, you got a whole stitch about I hate it here.
Yeah, right? Yeah. My whole TikTok is named I hate it here.
You can be miserable and still hopeful, right? Like, because without it, it's just misery, man. Right. The story can say this shit sucks, period, but there's more coming. I know there's better days, or I've had better days, anything at all. But nothing is truly trapped. It is kept inside. And that when we just shift a little bit like that, it changes the narrative of how we're facing. I'll be honest with you, man. This whole storytelling stuff is the key. It is ultimately the key to living well, suffering well, living poorly, suffering poorly. Look, me and you have been through some bad stuff. People on our lines here have been through bad stuff. But if all it ever amounts to is bad stuff, that's all it will ever amount to.
Yeah.
But at this point in your line, and at this point in your life, your reaction to what happened way back when is worse than what happened way back when. You remember this lesson? Every emotion, every thought actually only has a 7-second lifespan.
Yeah.
There's science behind this, right? So a wound from 20 years ago that is still governing and driving a driving force in our life today has had to have been revived how many times by us, right? That's not to say that it's not normal for a hurt or a memory to last a long time. But at this point, we're no longer still in whatever happened to us. We're talking about what the effects of today are like as if it stems from what happened 20 years ago. But what we're going through today has very little actual connection to what happened then. It's about the story we've been telling ourselves all this time. And that's a natural, that happens. That's trauma. Trauma is real. The traumatic brain injuries, that's real. The effects of long-term abuse and neglect is real. All of that's real. We're not minimizing that. What we're saying is it's a tiny piece of your overall approach to healing, your treatment has to be recognizing that you can pick up the pen, own that's your writing on the wall, and change the ending of that story. Look, there's two principles here on the tenets. One says spread spirituality, and another says connect to spirituality. Those two things are interconnected. That's right. That's right.
Amy,
You
we
see-
didn't teach you how to
Boom.
suffer well. Amy, there was no teaching you how to suffer well. You knew how. You had all of it inside you. You knew exactly what to do. You just needed to remember. Like it was there. The tools were there. The knowledge was there.
I do think there are some things that we have to learn, right? Because
Yeah.
look, I've got tools in my garage. I don't even know what they do. Somebody needs to show me how to use it. I don't even remember why I
You
bought it.
shouldn't have moved so far away.
Dude, I bought this tool that I later found out. If I go back on my Facebook, you'll see it. I was posting this tool. I'm like, what the hell is this used for? And people were like, oh, that's a drafting tool. Oh, no, that's used for the. I had like 100 response. I was no closer to solving the problem. It turns out, like 10 or 15 years ago, I bought this tool before it was a social media splash to help you hang the handles on your cabinets and drawers. Right?
Yeah.
And so you see what I mean? So we and one thing you might, yes, you have all the tools, right? But the reason we need to recognize that it's an interconnected value in recovery is because there are things we need to learn from others, right? And you're right. I think what you're trying to say is, Amy, you had all the tools, but some people who have those skills can come along and show you what to do with them now that we're at that point in your life, right? Like, I didn't know what to do with that tool. I just kept it all these years, and surprisingly, I kept all the pieces with it. Yeah, we discovered a lot of things together, Amy. And in many ways, that is why recovery and finding like the right kind of support is so important. When you connect to spirituality, it leads to spreading spirituality. Ultimately, step 12 is the embodiment of having embraced the 11 steps in front of you and wanting to scream it from the mountain.
Hell yeah.
Because
climbed.
We can pull people out of their fucking hell, man.
Right.
That's why it's important. Like, iron sharpens iron, man. And, iron comes from the oldest places in the world, man. It has the entire history written in it. Yeah. It comes from the oldest places into the world, and when it comes to this part of the planet, it becomes something new, right? But the entire history is there, and that's what I think a good 12-step program does for you. You have to go through your entire life experience that should become your history. That's an important part. Let your history become your history, not your current present day. And then when you look back, it's to go back like you go in a library and you go through a book to discover something that's going to help you advance forward. But we're never trapped, because the one thing we can control is where our spirit goes. And if you feel your spirit has left you, so to speak, call it back. That's all you got to do. Invite it back in. But you've got to open up. That's why spirituality is so important, man. And for us, let's just the quick definition of spirituality in our program are meaningful connections, that make us want to fight to live another day. What is it in your life? And we all have something. And here's how I know we all have it: because we're still alive. The people who have become truly hopeless in life aren't with us anymore. And even when we wanted to die, there was something inside. We couldn't explain it. We couldn't identify it. We didn't know where it came from, but it kept us alive. And it got us through all those things. That's why we're here. That's why we're fighting. That's why we're saying, I'm stuck. I can't. Because there's a part of you that is arguing with you saying, but you can. I can't handle it, but you can. I don't want to do this anymore, but you can. Look, Samaya had the stomach flu. She has to run an 800-meter race with a stomach flu. And that kid was saying to me, Papi, I can't. Like, she was getting mad at me. I can't. I'm like, I just want you to know that you're going to have a tummy ache whether you run this race or not.
Right.
And I think this is an important lesson for you to learn, that your mind can tell your body what it can do, and not your body telling your mind what it can't do. That girl ran out there and ran her 800. And being sick, she was only 5 seconds slower than her personal best.
Really? That's
Only
because she's
5
gangster,
seconds
though, bro.
slower.
I ain't like you didn't tell me nothing special. I know that kid.
Right? But it's the way we tell the story, and it's how, and coming here helps us tell you how you can take the pen back, how you can have the power over the pen in what you write. You're not actually faking it till you make it. You're trusting that what you're doing now will one day benefit you. It's trust. Trust in the 12-step process. Trust in healing. Trust in therapy. Trust in your partner. Trust in your friends. Trust in life. Trust in yourself ultimately.
Yep.
That you can do it.
All right, you guys. We were only going to be on for 30 minutes this morning. I forgot to announce we're gonna prepare for my 3-year-old Satan's birthday. I mean Mateo's birthday.
It's the reincarnation celebration of all the Satans in the world.
This kid here, man, he is the one who's gonna kill me, and he shoots for it. So
I have no pity for you.
We love you too, Jane. So thank you guys for joining us this morning. We will not be live with Oak tonight. We'll be back next Friday. We're going to be doing the bonfire and the birthday party all day today. We got some people coming through.
Amy, are you still there?
Yeah, Amy's still here.
Amy, can you bring her on real quick?
Oh, hold on. I'll
Amy,
send her an invite.
Jump on real quick. I got to tell you something. You'll hate me if I don't.
She will. Hold on. I'm going to send her a link right now. Amy, all you need to do is click on this link.
Click
I'm
on
sending it to you as we speak.
Amy might not know how to work that phone. So you got to, there's your finger to the phone screen and then touch it like that and then come back.
So she's got the link. Oh, she's in the shower. It's okay, Amy. You don't have to come on. Although I'm pretty sure
I tried to tell you.
This is a long show for that, but I'm pretty sure you could make money if you did.
Fine. That's fine. I remember this moment. I tried to tell you.
Tell her live.
No, I'm not telling her live. See, we were just talking about having those meaningful connections.
Oh, you know what? Right there. Listen, everybody, we love you guys.
With your humanity, Monte.
Right? We thank you for joining in our recovery and joining this journey we take, man. Like I love you guys. I'm so appreciative of all you have done for me. Every time I think that I'm either not good enough or, you know, I'm not strong enough, I have all of you there, right there with me, supporting me and making sure I know. So
you can do your Stewart mantra. I'm good enough. I'm well enough.
Look what I can do.
I'm smart enough.
The world.
Much love, everybody.
We love you guys. Thank you for joining us with FA. We'll see you next Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. to 11. Next Friday night, OCOR, our community, our responsibility Racine will be live, and next Saturday night as well. We'll see you then. I'll post our topic soon. So love you guys. We'll see you guys Saturday. Thursday night, 7 p.m. 2005.
Join us whether you're in the shower or not.
Yeah, right.
Don't let anything get in the way of being here.
Thursday night, 7 p.m. Mount Sinai Gym. We meet in person right here in Racine. It's 7 to 8:30. Feel free to come. We're an open group. Would love to have you.
And it's also held in Zoom at the same time.
Yep, absolutely. So if you can't get us in person, you can hit me up and I'll send you the Zoom link and you can join us on Zoom. So
peace out, y'all.